Let's just get started then, if you're ready.
Is this on the air?
I believe we are on the air.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody, good evening. After a late start, this is the Tier 3 brand new podcast, I guess. You can maybe tell we are brand new to this. I'm Eric Anderson.
And I'm a Jimmy Dury, so...
Yep, and this is the show where, if you're an Apple fanboy, today is Christmas for you.
Yep.
Want to explain that? Do you know what happened today?
Well, I heard today was some nice conference in the Apple world.
That is true, in the Apple ecosphere, post-Steve Jobs.
Indeed, that's a new revolution going on there.
That is. Yep. Well, quite a few big announcements today. I guess before we get into the stories and what happened with Apple today, after I just adjust a few things, explain a little bit about the podcast and what this is going to be. Like I said, I'm Eric Anderson. It's the Tier 3 podcast. Basically, it's going to be like a tech blog podcast show where we talk about anything that's remotely tech related at all. So that's about it.
So if you guys have any special requests on what do you want us to explore or what do you want us to research for the next week,
yes,
you can definitely bring it up on that and we will do that for you.
I will tell you how to contact the podcast at the end of the show. Teaser, because now you have to stay till the end of the show. I think our music's turned all the way down. Yep. All right. This is what you don't want in a podcast. Lots of blank space. I have a lot of show notes. We seriously have a lot of stuff to talk about this evening. We probably won't get to it all because a lot of stuff has happened in the tech world over the past, week, 2 weeks that I've been planning to get this podcast together. And it simply can't all be covered this late in this short span time. We are actually, our regular time is 7 o'clock p.m. on every Tuesday. On the Fringe ran a bit late tonight because they didn't know we were after them since we're a new podcast.
That's what happens when you're new, so...
Yep. But hopefully we will be 7 o'clock every Tuesday now. And we're planning to get some more people in. Hopefully, Ajay, you might not be able to join every Tuesday since you typically have class at this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually, I think I'm pretty much going to be late for class. I just hope my lab partners are not too angry.
I'll be here every Tuesday, hopefully, and I have one other person who's going to come in next Tuesday for sure, and hopefully stay if he likes what he hears. But yeah, it's just a tech podcast. We'll talk about anything, internet memes, the latest Rebecca Black song. Oh my gosh. I look forward to your emails.
Indeed, we shall.
Some quantum physics here and there. Maybe not.
The world's falling apart, apparently.
All right. Let's get into the show. Apple today. Big day for Apple. A lot of people expected the iPhone 5 to be announced today from Apple. And it wasn't. And really, if you look at what kind of transpired before this conference, not really all that surprising, I don't think.
There were a lot of rumors, but none of them really did point to an iPhone 5. They probably pointed to something more of an upgrade.
The 4S, yes. The iPhone 4S, which is what they announced. Basically just an update to the iPhone 4. Pretty much like the iPhone, was it 3G?
3GS.
Got the 3GS update.
Yeah. Exactly
Exactly the same deal here. There were rumors, a lot of rumors, pointing to the iPhone 4S. There was some speculation, although nothing concrete nearly what the iPhone 4S had about the iPhone 5 being released. A lot of people in the tech world, this is not a surprise that they didn't announce the iPhone 5 today. A lot of people are disappointed because they didn't, just another update. But that's what happened. They also announced iOS 5, their new software.
And OS X Lion, I think.
Is Lion the one that's out?
Yeah, I think it's coming out now, maybe. I'm not sure.
Lion's the one that's out already,
yeah, I guess so.
I don't know what's after this. Is this just their mobile OS, iOS 5?
Yeah, iOS 5 is mostly the mobile. But they have a couple of new features which are available throughout the mobile versions of iOS and the OS X Lion. So this is going to be quite an interesting chat about how they're upgrading their various services and how it's going to be possibly the future for all the Apple fans. So
yeah. Well, I watched the live blog on Gadget.com, GDGT.com, of the Apple press conference. It was at 12 o'clock p.m. today is when the conference started.
12 o'clock Central Standard Time.
Central Standard Time. It's basically just like any other Apple conference without Steve Jobs, of course.
Which kind of was interesting for first time.
They could have dropped the entire first half of the conference and you would not have missed anything. Because all they did was go over the history of Apple and how great we are, and they talked about all their previous products and leading up to what it is. They do that every single conference. It's like, just get to what you're going to announce and be done with it.
We want to hear the big news.
Exactly.
We don't want to be stuck in history.
No, they showed a lot of videos. Unfortunately, there's no live video feed that comes out of those conferences. They don't typically let media have stream video from the conference. So what you get is all these media agencies. Gizmodo.com was a big one there. Gadget.com had a live blog there. It's basically a blog, what a live blog is, if you don't know. It's basically a blog updated in real time. So you can watch these updates come in, and they put pictures up there. So that's what I was watching at noon today. And it was pretty interesting. It's the first conference they've had under Tim Cook as the new CEO of Apple since Steve Jobs resigned. A lot of people speculated that there was maybe a slight chance that Steve Jobs would make an appearance.
But unfortunately, we did not see any Steve Jobs.
Nowhere to be found. But let's talk a little bit about the iOS 5 updates, because that was the first thing that they talked about.
So let's make it the first on our agenda, too.
Location-based reminders. This is awesome. Do you have any idea what this is?
Actually, I kind of do, but go ahead for our viewers.
All right. So
or our listeners.
This uses the GPS in the, I believe this is over iPod Touch and iPhone.
And iPad.
And iPad, exactly. And if you say you set a reminder, the best example for this is like a grocery store. And you've got a grocery list, and you want to remember that grocery list when you go into the grocery store. You can write that list out, set a reminder for a certain time, or
when you're passing by.
Exactly, with the location based. Now you can set it via GPS, I believe, and you can say when I'm at. You probably tag the grocery store you're going to go to. I'm not sure how it works.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure exactly the details, but I'm assuming that what they do is they actually have the maps look up all of the close-by grocery stores of that specific type that cater to all of the needs that you have, and then they give you the reminders with the grocery store that you're within like certain distance of it, and it puts up a reminder so you could. Clearly go ahead and shop or do whatever you need to do according to the situation.
It gives you, you say you typed in a list of all those groceries you needed, it will actually remind you, hey, you need to stop at this grocery store and get all these groceries. It's really, really cool. That was a big feature in iOS that a lot of people liked. I got the feeling they liked anyway from the way the live blog went.
Yeah.
That was kind of the main big feature they announced of iOS 5. There was also a reader is going to be introduced into Safari. Basically, this will format any text in Safari so that it fits say the iPad, it'll fit the screen really nice.
So like in the past, you probably saw some pieces of some kind of thing in text missing, like in PDF files. You might have seen like a little bit of stuff that could not be read by the iPhone or the iPad or the iPod. So now with the new reader, they're saying they should be able to do that.
Yep, it'll format it so it fits nicely on whichever one you're viewing it on, whether it be the iPod, the iPhone, or the iPod Touch.
Though my friend here seems to be missing that they actually came out with another nice feature, which is the Messenger.
Go ahead and you've got this one.
Oh, well, or from what I've heard about it, it's basically supposed to be a messenger across the various 3 platforms, that is the iPod, the iPad, and the iPhone, which you can just use. It's something like Skype messaging or something. I don't have a clear idea on it, but it's supposed to be simple messaging like BlackBerry Messenger had their Messenger.
Okay, yeah.
But this is supposed to be a bit more in the newer stages or the early stages of its development, but seems to be going pretty good because I've seen a few prototypes run it, or I've seen a few people testing it out in the beta version of iOS 5, and it seemed to be working pretty good.
They've got that. They've got the location base. They've got the reader. Let's see. They're trying to go PC free. This was the actual term they used, PC free, and basically all they said on this is that it would be possible for you to have the iPhone or the iPad or even the iPod Touch as your only
iPad.
device.
Yeah.
It'd make more sense for the iPad.
Yeah, it's more like in the sense like if you've got an iPad, then what's the point of always plugging it up to the PC to get your updates to go from like iOS 4 to iOS 5 or any version of iOS 4. So this would be, and they also introduced this would be like straight out of the box. So you could just pull your iPad, or same thing, etc., on straight out of the box, and you would be able to update it immediately without having to really go into and connecting it into the computer and syncing it, then updating it. You could just have it update automatically after connecting to a network.
Right. They didn't actually say on stage a lot of the details how that would work. But I think that's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Which is nice. You won't have to worry about if you've got Apple product like the iPod, iPad. You won't have to necessarily have a PC in addition to supplement it.
So it makes it convenient for those who are actually looking to buy just the iPad and go for a tablet instead of going for a new laptop or instead of going for a new notebook. So that may be a nice alternative because it's becoming PC free, which we will look forward to seeing in the future as well, even if we're not too sure about what it is right now.
And this next feature I kind of spaced out during the live blog, but it's iTunes in the cloud along with PhotoStream in the cloud.
I kind of had a bit more in this because I can, from what I understood, the iTunes songs would basically be, they would all through iCloud, they would be synced.
Yeah, all devices could. Okay.
Yeah, so that was the idea behind that. But they also had another feature, which the name eludes me right now, but another feature which was paid for iTunes, which would allow you to automatically, it would cache all your favorite songs onto every new device you register or every new device you log into, and it would automatically allow free streaming of the songs. But this feature itself is paid and about $25 a year or something. Okay. And so this feature would allow you to just directly stream the songs from iTunes, so you would not have to download them onto your device again.
Okay.
So you could do that and create your own playlist on iTunes and listen to it streaming from iCloud.
That's cool, but that's $25. That's a paid service. $25 a year.
$25 a year.
Okay. This iTunes in the cloud, would that potentially, could you get rid of? Because right now you have to, is it register? You can only register up to 5 iTunes
accounts. Yeah.
Accounts, whether it be on PC or on Mac. Would that, if you can get everything into the cloud, can you potentially have it if you have more than that many computers?
They are definitely looking to sync more and more devices without having to create separate accounts for each device, because they're realizing a lot of people who have got one iTunes account don't want to have to create a separate one just to be able to access certain songs or to be able to access iTunes. So now that is their idea. That's their goal. I think they've achieved it pretty much. It seems like it. So I'm not quite sure how it's going to affect the future, but it definitely looks like a very good improvement towards synchronizing all of their products, including the MacBooks and that's one feature I'm almost missed. It was that this will work on the OS X as well, all the Lion, and I think it's the support is after Lion. So if you have Snow Leopard, unfortunately, no.
Yeah, probably won't work. There was one other feature that they announced, and that was cloud backups with iOS 5. And I have mixed feelings about that. It's nice, but I like having a physical backup myself, like on an actual hard drive that I can take away.
Yeah, I can understand that too. I pretty much do the same.
So I don't know if there's an option that you can create a physical backup, or if it's just cloud backup. Because if you back it up to the cloud,
I believe at this point they're just looking at cloud backup. Otherwise, I think the only other backup that can happen is onto your PC at this point. So physical backups, PC would be good, but if your PC crashes and you lose your backup, and if both crash at the same time, it's unlikely. But if both crash at the same time, you pretty much lose all your information. But but then the iOS backup comes into play if you've got it running automatically. And I think they have it in such a way that it automatically backs up all of your information or required information on I don't know, a certain time basis, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Like I said, though, I always like to have an actual hard drive with my stuff backed up on it, so that if something happens to my computer, like if that's your only computer and it's backed up to the cloud,
yeah,
how are you going to get that stuff back? Rather than, I mean, you'd have to go to a public computer to do that. Okay, so enough of iOS 5. Also in this conference, they came out with a update to the iPod Nano and iPod Touch. The iPod Nano, they did not spend much time talking about. All it was user interface updates.
Yeah, and a special clock.
Yes, well, okay, a lot of third parties had the wristbands for the iPod Nanos, because the iPod Nano is that really small square one with the And
iPod Nano is now going to be specially partnering up with Nike Plus to be able to record your scores in terms of running and exercise and movement, and then posting them online to win achievements by competing with your fellow...
Cool. That's really cool if you're an athlete.
Yeah.
And I think before you had to have like accessories and stuff to do that with. It's all built in now. They really streamlined that. I've never used that, but it seems... like that'd be really cool if you do a lot of exercise stuff.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty interesting tool. But as Eric said, I'm not too into that at this point.
They did that. They also did the wristbands, the clock. Different. Yeah.
They had like 21 different. I'm not sure if it's 21 different styles in 6 categories or something.
Yeah, something like that. They've got a lot of different clocks that you can use, because you can basically, a lot of third-party companies release these wristbands that you can tie the iPod Nano around your wrist like a clock, like a watch.
Yeah.
And Apple's actually supported that, which that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, you'd like to see that in a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, actually supporting third-party ideas.
Yeah.
And then the pricing changed for the iPod Nano as well. The 8 gigabyte version is now $129, and the 16 gigabyte version is now $149. That was pretty. That was
a nice change. It's not a big change, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a nice improvement. So it becomes much more affordable in terms of birthday presents or Christmas presents.
The big change comes with the iPod Touch.
Yeah.
The 8 gigabyte dropped $100 from $299 to $199.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to start selling a lot more, especially with the updates. The 32 gigabyte one is $299, and the 64 gigabyte one is $399.
Yep.
They also took time to note that the iPod Touch is now the most popular game player in the world.
Which kind of surprised me too.
That is
but
very surprising. I'm not sure if does that include handheld devices like the Nintendo's 3DS?
I'm not quite sure, but I would assume they're talking more about a device where people can just play any type of game, more like a casual game.
Yeah.
Whereas you're talking about the 3DS and the PSP.
That's more for the
what's the new PSP?
Gamers. The PS Vita.
Yeah, the PS Vita is more about like hardcore gaming, especially with the PS Vita's new 180p display with the 3D, with what was it? With like PS3 graphics.
Oh,
So that was a pretty big thing, but I would assume that those devices sell much less than the iPod, which primarily sells for its music use, but also has the gaming and the apps on it. So it's pretty much.
Yeah, because when you say something like that, it makes me wonder what kind of context that's in, because the iPod Touch, that's geared a lot more toward casual
gaming,
because there's all kinds of apps. Although that could change, because there's a lot of developers now. Square Enix has a lot of the Final Fantasies on the iPod Touch.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could change to the point where hardcore gamers kind of start considering.
There's also quite an interesting chip which has come out, which is a 64-core chip.
Yes, that hasn't come out. It's called
That's
the Epiphany 4, though.
yeah.
What a
so-
sweet name that is. But
Yeah.
that's actually okay. So you've got what, up to 12 cores in a standard computer.
Yeah.
We're gonna digress from the Apple topic for a bit.
For
here,
just a minute, yeah.
we need a break from Apple anyway. But what is this? Apdepteva? I'm not sure how to pronounce that company name.
But it's
they
quite
make-
interesting, though.
They make chips, and they've come out with this 64-core processor that they want to eventually get into smartphones.
Yeah, their idea is it's not a standalone chip apparently, so it doesn't really work as the current chips do, because the current chips right now do the graphics processing, do the various other processing features, but they do them on its own, so they act like a system. They basically become your operating system on your phone.
It's all in that chip.
Yeah, pretty much. However, this new chip apparently supports the other chip that's already in the phone or already in the system to be able to improve its computing power using the multiple cores, using the improved processing power, and the power consumption does not go that high either. Apparently, the power consumption is only 1 watt. So you could put it into the iPhone with an A5 processor from Apple, and you could possibly have 70 gigaflops of
70 gigaflops. Just to put that into perspective, the A5 is Apple's new chip. That's going to be in the iPhone 4S and the new iPod Touch.
yes, and it has only 1.5 gigaflops.
1.5 gigaflops, and that's about as fast as the fastest computer was in 1985. This new 64-core chip would push it to 70 gigaflops.
which is something like a mini supercomputer or a supercomputer back in the 1990s.
Yeah, that fits in your hands.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the iPod Touch, the iPod Nano. Back to Apple. Let's get into the iPhone 4S. This brand new iPhone update to
What about the
iPhone
iPad?
4. They had nothing on the iPad.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
That was
actually.
interesting. Yes, there was nothing about the iPad. They did some talking about it during the first half of the conference where they were just going over, "Oh, we're so great, we're Apple, hooray!" That's about the only place
they were
the
going
iPad
over
was
the
talked
applications. Yeah, they were going over like where it's being used. They're
Yeah.
talking about how it's being used in hospitals.
in schools was a big place. Yeah. Other than that, they didn't talk about the iPad. The iPhone 4S, though, it's an update to the iPhone 4. It's got the brand new Apple A5 chip in it, which is actually a dual-core CPU, which is 2 times faster than the A4.
In terms of processing.
And it also has dual-core graphics, which is 7 times faster than the A4.
Yep.
So they demoed, I believe, Epic Games' Infinity Blade on the stage. Obviously, we were watching a live blog, so there was no video stream of this. We couldn't see it, but we were told it looks great.
We were just hoping that they were as close as they could get.
Yeah. Battery life on it, they get about 8 hours of talk time. That's even with the new CPU. They were talking about how the new CPU dual-core might...
Yet
drain
again,
battery life.
Apple efficiency brings out some good,
That's
a very
exactly
good
right.
factor, which
Yep.
is attractive.
Yep, Apple has great power management. That is one place they excel. The data download is up to 2 times as fast. The old iPhone 4
Yeah.
downloaded 7.2 megabytes per second. This
Now
can
we're
go
moving up to 14.4.
14.4.
So it's pretty much a big improvement.
Then they talked a lot about the updates to the camera. Takes photos faster, much faster. I have a Droid X, and that takes forever in between photos.
Yeah.
I could just set it down, walk
because
away,
actually
have a nice meal, come back, still not ready to take a picture.
Oh. Well, I would say I got the iPod 4. So I would say the iPod Touch 4, that is.
4th gen.
Yeah, so that actually turned out to have fast pictures too. Like I could actually take like about approximately 20 pictures in about 5 seconds.
And this new update is...
It's supposed to be like twice as fast as that. So we would be seeing some real photo capture there, and they have got some really nice features on the new camera. So I'm gonna let Eric go ahead.
It can shoot 1080p video. It also has real-time image stabilization. So that's a real nice feature for shooting video with like fast action stuff.
So if you're just don't use it to go into the movie theater and start recording those movies.
That's right. Yeah. Nothing illegal can be done with this. Tier 3 does not condone any illegal activity done with the iPhone 4S. Disclaimer. Fine print.
Just don't say we told you to do it.
And the last feature they talked about was kind of an artificial intelligence. They call it Siri. And it's basically voice-activated recognition. Do you have to leave? Jay's showing me his phone.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to spend another 15 minutes here, and then I'll have to
Right.
leave. I definitely do have to leave after that.
Anyway, this new artificial intelligence on the iPhone 4S is called Siri. It's basically voice recognition stuff. Typically, you'd have to punch a button on a phone to activate the voice recognition, and then you'd have to give it a precise command prompt of what you want it to do. This does not work like that. This is amazing. All you do is activate the voice prompt. You can literally ask it anything. And it will find whatever. I have distractions outside the window right now. What do you say, 5 minutes?
5 minutes?
5 minutes, so I have to finish. I'll finish up the iPhone stuff.
Okay.
Basically, you can tell it anything. They were doing demos up on the stage. He goes, Siri, how many days until Christmas? And it answers right back, 82 days, which evidently was correct. I didn't do the figure, and I didn't do the math. Apparently that's correct. It can read your text messages. Another demo they did was they asked it to find me a Greek restaurant. It comes back, I found 5 Greek restaurants, and I've sorted them by ranking. You know how Google ranks them based on customer reviews? So
now actually we're seeing something out of science fiction, you would say, but this has become a reality. So it's quite nice features in terms of Apple, how they're advancing so fast, and it kind of makes other smartphones look a little bit behind the curve.
Yep. It is quite a development for that. And a lot of people, I think that was rumored before that would be coming out. I didn't pay attention to any of those rumors, but I think a lot of people were very impressed with that. That basically sums up what happened at the Apple conference today.
Including Apple saying how great they are.
Including Apple, they always do. No Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs didn't appear.
Yep.
And no iPad talk. That was kind of surprising. But that's gonna about do it for us.
Yeah, I think we're almost out of time now. So
we're almost out of time. We will start at 7:00
next week,
next Tuesday.
And hopefully, maybe if you have a chance, we'll try and get another timing during this week. But probably not going to happen this week.
Other than that, next Tuesday, 7:00. We have a lot more stuff we could have talked about today, but I think we're just going to wrap it up with the iPhone
conference. Yeah,
conference
the
coverage,
Apple conference. So
that's going to about do it for us. We're going to have to turn you back to this music.
Which we're very sorry because
sorry.
it is not.
It's okay. Well, we'll give you back to this music. Whether or not you listen to it is up to you.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, guys. Next Tuesday, 7:00.
Yep.
Tier 3 podcast.
Thank you guys again. Have a good night. Drive safe.